Good morning, students. Today we will start the next unit in midwifery, which is the 10th unit, Management of Complication of Puerperium. So, in this first condition, we will study the puerperial pyrexia. So, as the term, if we divide the term, the puerperial and pyrexia separately, the puerperial is the period which start after delivery for 6 weeks, and the pyrexia is the raised body temperature. So, during the puerperial period, if the body temperature rises, we will call it as puerperial pyrexia. According to the book, the definition of puerperial pyrexia is a rise of temperature reaching 100.4 degrees Fahrenheit or more on two separate occasions at 24 hours within the first 10 days following the delivery is called puerperial pyrexia. So basically, अगर हम किसी पर्सन का 24 आवर्स में दो बार बॉडी टेम्परेचर चेक करें विद इन द फर्स्ट 10 डेज और उसका बॉडी टेम्परेचर राइज आता है, अगर हम टू सेपरेट ओकेशंस पे चेक कर रहे हैं, देन वी विल से इट एज puerperial pyrexia or the fever during the puerperial period. Next, we will discuss the cause of puerperial pyrexia. The first cause of puerperial pyrexia is the puerperial sepsis, urinary tract infection, cystitis, or pyelonephritis. Cystitis is the inflammation of the bladder, and pyelonephritis is the inflammation of the kidney. Mastitis and the breast abscess, wound infection. It may be due to cesarean section or it may be due to episiotomy. Pulmonary infection, atelectasis, and the pneumonia. Atelectasis is the complete or partial collapse of the lung or any part of the lung. Septic pelvic thrombophlebitis and the reoccurrence of the malaria or pulmonary tuberculosis, other like the pharyngitis and the gastroenteritis. So basically, if you see, the infection is the main cause. It could be cystitis, it could be mastitis, it could be wound infection because of the episiotomy or cesarean section. Means basically the infection is the main cause which is causing the puerperial pyrexia or fever during the time of puerperium. This is the diagnostic evaluation, how we diagnose the puerperial pyrexia. In this, we will take the history first. We will take the history of the mother. We will take the history about the membrane rupture, at what time and when the membrane ruptured. Second, we will see the length of the labor. We will see the instrument used during the labor and the sutured repaired, how we repair the episiotomy suture, the technique during the suturing time, during the suturing of the episiotomy, whether the placenta has completed out or not, it is or still there inside the mother, or the some part of the placenta is retained inside the mother, whether there was any bleeding during or after. So about all these, we will take the history, ask the rupture membrane, see the duration of the look the duration of the labor, length of the labor, how we use the instrument, instrument was cleaned or not, suture was clean or not, the placenta is completely out or not, whether there was any bleeding during the time of labor of there or there was any bleeding after the delivery. So about all this, we will take the history of the mother. After taking the history, we will examine the mother for the puerperial pyrexia. We will do the systemic examination. First, we will check for the meningitis. We will take the vital sign of we will check the temperature of the mother. We will examine the breast. We will check the respiratory infection. We will examine the uterus, wound, abdomen by palpation, and for collection of ovary and vein thrombosis. We will examine for the perineal wound and lochia. We will examine for the limb thrombosis. For all these conditions, for the to see any kind of infection sign, we will just examine the mother, if she whether she is having any kind of sign for the infection or not. So next, to diagnose the puerperal pyrexia, after taking history, after doing the investigation, after doing the examination of the mother, we will take the investigation. We will do the investigation to diagnose the puerperal pyrexia. In this, we will see, we can take the high vaginal swab, urine culture and microscopy, other swab as felt necessary, FBC, blood culture, ultrasound to scan any retained product, and the sputum culture if indicated. So all these investigation we will do after taking history and after doing the examination of the mother to diagnose the puerperal pyrexia. So next we will discuss the management of puerperal pyrexia. The management of puerperal pyrexia are the general management and the pharmacological management. In general management, we will treat the generally like how we do in the how we do in the at the time of fever. General management like ice pack we can give, we can provide the rest, we can give the adequate diet, we can provide the fluids. So if we see the ice pack may be helpful for pain from perineal wound or mastitis. Rest and adequate fluid intake are required, particularly for the mother who are breastfeeding. So we will give the adequate fluid, adequate diet, and adequate rest to the mother who are doing the breastfeeding. Next is the pharmacological management. Administer to intravenous broad spectrum antibiotics within 1 hour suspicion of the severe sepsis. So if anyone is the suspicion of the severe sepsis, we will start the broad spectrum of antibiotics within 1 hour. Then we can give the analgesics to reduce the pain. Antibiotics should be commenced after taking the specimen and should not be delayed until the results are available. So as soon as we have taken the example, we have taken the example for the or the specimen for the investigation. So we will after that only we will start the antibiotics. We will not wait for the result or we will not delay the antibiotic until the result came. Then a combination of either piperacillin and tazobactam or the carbapenem plus the clindamycin provide one of the broadest range of the treatment for the severe sepsis. So these are the like piperacillin, tazobactam are the or the clindamycin are the main drugs to treat the severe sepsis or the any kind of infection or any kind of severe infection. These are the main drugs which we will use. So as we will reduce the infection, we will reduce the symptom which is coming from the infection like the pyrexia during the puerperal time. So next condition we will discuss is the puerperal sepsis. Again, the puerperal is the period of puerperal is the duration is the period after the delivery for the 6 weeks, and the sepsis is any kind of infection. So if mother is having any kind of infection during the puerperal time, we will say it as the puerperal sepsis. If we look at the definition, an infection of genital tract which occur as a complication of delivery is termed as the puerperal sepsis. Simple. If any kind of infection is coming to the genital tract which may cause by the complication of delivery, which is coming as a complication of delivery, we will call it as the puerperal sepsis. So, puerperal sepsis is commonly due to endometritis, endomyometritis, endoperimetritis, or a combination of all these three is called the pelvic cellulitis. So, all these are the condition which happen at the time of which we can see commonly due to the puerperal sepsis. These are the risk factor which can lead to the puerperal sepsis. First, we will discuss the antepartum risk factor and then we will discuss the intrapartum risk factor. First, antepartum risk factor are like malnutrition and anemic mothers may have the puerperal sepsis after the delivery. Preterm labor may develop the puerperal sepsis, premature rupture of membrane after the immunocompressive disorder like the uh, HIV, prolonged rupture of membrane, and diabetes mother. So these are the condition during the antepartum time which may lead to the which are the risk factor to the puerperal sepsis. And the intrapartum risk factor are the repeated vaginal examination. If we doing the vaginal examination repeatedly at the short time interval, again and again we are performing the vaginal examination, it may lead to the puerperal sepsis, dehydration and ketoacidosis during the labor, traumatic vaginal delivery, hemorrhagic antepartum or the postpartum, retained or the bites of placenta tissue or the membrane, prolonged labor, obstructed labor or cesarean delivery. So these are the risk factors at the intrapartum period which may lead to the puerperal sepsis. Now we will discuss some microorganisms which are responsible for the puerperal sepsis. First are the Arabic, like group A beta hemolytic streptococcus. It can cause the toxic shock syndrome, necrotizing fasciitis in episiotomy or the cesarean section wound. Then group B beta hemolytic streptococcus is a significant cause of neonatal death due to septicemia, respiratory disease and the meningitis. In this, maternal risks are also high. Then the methicillin resistant Streptococcus aureus cause the severe infection. Other are the Staphylococcus pyogenes, Streptococcus aureus, E. coli, Klebsiella, Pseudomonas, Proteus, and the Chlamydia. So all these are the aerobic microorganisms which are responsible for the puerperal sepsis. Next is the anaerobic are the Streptococcus, Peptococcus, Bacteroides, Fusobacteria, Mobiluncus, and the Clostridia. These are the anaerobic microorganisms which are responsible for the puerperal sepsis. Most of the infection in the genital tract are the polymicrobial with a mixture of aerobic and the anaerobic organism. So in puerperal sepsis, we will see the mode of most of the infection are the in the genital tract are the polymicrobial, which is a mixture. We will find the mixture of the aerobic and the non and the anaerobic organism in the puerperal sepsis. Is the mode of infection of the puerperal sepsis. Puerperal sepsis is essentially a wound infection. So basically, the puerperal sepsis, the infection is which is coming during the puerperium time or the puerperal time. It is coming from a wound infection. It is developing from a wound. Source of infection may be endogenous, autogenous, and the exogenous. Endogenous, where the organism are present in the genital tract before the delivery. So, in the endogenous type, the organism are present in the genital tract before the delivery, and the autogenous where the organism present elsewhere in the body like in the skin or in the throat and migrate to the genital organ by the bloodstream or by the patient herself. Then third one is the exogenous where the infection is contraindicated from the source outside the patient like from the attendant, from the family member or from community or from the hospital itself. So in the endogenous the organism पहले से present होता है genital tract में before the delivery. Autogenous genital tract में present नहीं है but patient के किसी other body part में present है जो कि पेशेंट के वजह से या ब्लड स्ट्रीम से जेनाइटल ट्रैक में पहुंच जाता है. एक्सोजीनस पेशेंट को इन्फेक्शन उसकी बॉडी से नहीं मिलता है, उसको इन्फेक्शन किसी आउटसोर्स से मिलता है लाइक किसी अटेंडेंट से मिल जाए या किसी कम्युनिटी किसी पीपल से मिल जाए या किसी अटेंडिंग पर्सन से मिल जाए या उसको किसी हॉस्पिटल से मिल जाए. That will come under the exogenous. So these are the mode of infection of the puerperal sepsis. Clinical feature in local infection, a rise of temperature will be happen, generalized malaise, the local wound become red and swollen, plus the pus in the wound, high rise temperature with the chills and the rigor. In uterine infection, there is a rise temperature and pulse rate. Rokia discharge
आ जाओ
will
इधर ही।
become offensive, and the uterus is subinvoluted, and the tender breathlessness, cough, abdominal pain,
मैं
and
तो बुला रही
dysuria.
हूँ कि आ जाओ
Lochia may
इधर,
be
मैं खेलने को
scanty
नहीं
and
कह रही।
odorless. There may be associated wound infection, perineum, vagina, or the cervix. So these are the clinical features which
क्या
we
कर रहे
will
हो?
see if the infection is
आप क्या कर रहे
happening
हो?
into the uterus. And spreading infection means from that area, particular from the particular genital area,
आप क्या
the
कर रहे हो पूछ रही हूँ।
infection is spreading. In this we will see the
हैं?
pelvic peritonitis, presence of the pelvic tenderness, and the parametritis, tenderness on the fornix.
क्या
Next is the
एग्जाम कब है?
parametritis, bulging fluctuant masses in the pouch of Douglas. So these are the condition which we will see in the spread of infection. In this, clinical feature will become like abdominal pain or discharge, or discomfort will happen, pain in the pelvic area, tenderness in the pelvic area. We will see in the if the infection is spreading. Next is the treatment for the puerperal sepsis. First, I want to tell you the diagnostic evaluation before starting the treatment. The diagnostic evaluation for puerperal sepsis is the same for the puerperal pyrexia. Like first, we will take the history of labor, history of rupture of membrane, any retained organ inside the uterus. Then we will do the examination of the breast, examination of the uterus, examination of the abdomen. We will check the vital signs, we will take the temperature. Then we will do the investigation like the blood culture, urine culture. So the diagnostic evaluation for puerperal sepsis is same as the puerperal pyrexia. Next, the treatment for the puerperal sepsis, first again divided into two, journal and the pharmacological. In the journal, we will isolate the patient. We can isolate the patient is preferred, especially when the hemolytic streptococcus is obtained on culture. If we are obtaining the hemolytic streptococcus into the culture, we will isolate the patient. Then we will give the adequate fluid, and calorie are maintained by the intravenous infusion. Anemia, if she is having anemic, the mother is anemic, we will correct it by the oral iron, or if we need by the if needed, we will do it by the blood transfusion. An indwelling catheter is used to relieve any urine retention due to pelvic abscess. It also helps to control the urinary output. Then we will maintain a chart to record the pulse, respiration, temperature, lochia, discharge, and the fluid intake and output. We will एक chart maintain करेंगे जिसमें patient का vitals होना चाहिए, उसका lochia discharge होना चाहिए, उसका fluid intake and output होना चाहिए. So we will maintain a chart. Ideal antibiotic regimen should be depend on the culture and sensitivity report. So what is ideal for that particular patient, it depend on the sensitivity report. And pending, if the report is pending, we will start the gentamicin 2 mg per kg IV loading dose, and the clindamycin should be started. Metronidazole 0.5 gram IV is given at 8-hour interval to control the anaerobic group. The treatment is continued until the infection is controlled for at least 7 to 10 days. We will continue this treatment for at least 7 to 10 days. Antibiotic regimen severe sepsis. In sepsis, same as the it is same as the puerperial pyrexia, a combination, because in pyrexia also we were treating the puerperial sepsis to reduce the fever. So in puerperial sepsis, what we were doing in that condition for puerperial sepsis, in puerperial sepsis we will obviously do for the same. A combination of either piperacillin, tazobactam, carbapenem plus the clindamycin has a broadest range of antimicrobial coverage. Women with the MRSA infection should be treated with the vancomycin or the TO or the ticoplin. Surgical treatment. Perineal wound. The stitches of the perineal wound may have to be removed to facilitate the drainage of the pus and relieve pain. So, if the infection is in the perineal wound, if perineal wound में pus आ गया है, then we will uh, remove the stitches to facilitate or to remove the pus or to relieve the pain. The wound is to be cleaned with sitz bath several times a day and is dressed with the antiseptic ointment or powder. Wound को clean करना है, sitz bath देना है several times a day, like she can take the sitz bath for the 5 times a day or at least 3 times a day, and then dress the wound with the antiseptic ointment or the powder. After infection is controlled, Sconda suture may be given. When the infection is controlled, if we are seeing the infection has been controlled, then Sconda suture may be given to the patient. Retain product with a diameter of 3 centimeter or less may be disregarded and left alone. अदरवाइज सर्जिकल इवैक्यूएशन इफ द वूंड जो अगर प्लासेंटा या कोई प्रोडक्ट यूट्राइन प्रोडक्ट कोई अंदर की तरफ रह गया है, अगर उसका डायमीटर इज लेस देन 3 सेंटीमीटर और उससे कम होता है, तो वो बाहर आ जाएगा और उसको अपने अपने आप बाहर आ जाएगा, मे बी डिसगार्डेड एंड लेफ्ट अलोन. अदरवाइज सर्जिकल इवैक्यूएशन हम कर सकते हैं उसका आफ्टर एंटीबायोटिक कवरेज फॉर 24 hours should be done to avoid the risk of septicemia. So सेप्टिसीमिया का रिस्क को अवॉइड करने के लिए हम उसका सर्जिकल इवैक्यूएशन कर सकते हैं आफ्टर एंटीबायोटिक कवरेज फॉर 24 hours. Septic pelvic thrombophlebitis are treated with IV heparin 7 to 10 days. If she is having infection in the puerperial time which is due to thrombophlebitis, it will be treated by the IV heparin for 7 to 10 days. If she is having pelvic abscess, by which sepsis is coming or puerperial sepsis is coming, should be drained by the colpotomy under the ultrasound guidance. Wound dehiscence. Dehiscence of episiotomy or abdominal wound following cesarean section is managed by the scrubbing the wound twice daily. We will scrub the wound twice daily. Debridement of all necrotic tissue and then closing of the wound with secondary suture. So first debridement all the tissue, all the necrotic tissue which were causing the sepsis, which were causing the infection. Then we will do the secondary suture. Appropriate antimicrobials are used to followed culture and sensitivity. So we will use the appropriate antimicrobial to follow the culture and the sensitivity. Then laparotomy has got limited indication. Maintenance of electrolyte balance by the intravenous fluid along with the appropriate antibiotic therapy usually control and the peritonitis. However, in unresponsive peritonitis, laparotomy is indicated. Even if no palpable pathology is found, drainage of pulse may be effective. So in peritonitis condition, we can do the laparotomy and
If the no palpable pathology is found, we can do the drainage of pus. That would be effective. Hysterectomy is indicated in the case of rupture of or perforation. If there is any case of rupture or perforation, we can do hysterectomy in those conditions. Having multiple abscess, in multiple
क्लैरिसी
abscess
लिमिट टू
condition, we
वन
can do the
रिस्पॉन्स पे भी
hysterectomy.
क्लिक करो.
Gangrenous uterus or the gas gangrene infection, ruptured tobo ovarian abscess should be removed. So by abscess and the gangrene or perforation or rupture uterus, we can remove it by the hysterectomy. Necrotizing fasciitis is rare but fetal complication of wound infection involving muscle and asphyxia. Risk factor are diabetes, obesity,
और
and
ये सी समरी
hypertension.
चार्ट ये वाला
Infection
ऑप्शन
is
हटा
caused
दो,
by
ये
the group
रिस्पॉन्डर के
A
लिए है, ये
beta
दोनों ऑप्शन
hemolytic
ही एम्प्टी
streptococcus
रखो.
and often
लिमिट टू
in
वन
the
रिस्पॉन्स कर दो और ऊपर के लिए
polymicrobial.
कलेक्ट ईमेल
Tissue
आईडी.
necrosis is the significant pathology. Treatment include the rehydration. We can do the necrotizing tissues ka rehydration. We can do wound scrubbing. We can do for
देन
necrotic
क्विजेस में भी
tissue
जाओ.
which were causing the infection, debridement of all necrotic tissue, and use the high dose of broad spectrum IV antibiotics. So this is all about the surgical treatment. If she's having rupture or if she's having retain, we'll do the perineal wound care, and we will in retain condition we can do the evacuation. In septic condition we can give the thrombophlebitis, we can give the heparin. Pelvic abscess, colpotomy we can do under the ultrasound guidance. So these all are the surgical management for the puerperal sepsis. Thank you.